What's up? Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 413th episode of the GeekVerse podcast. I am the pro-choice Trash Snail, and I'm joined by...
And the Adam Hart caster, Dylan Moss.
Yes, Dylan, we said we would do this last week if they dropped some gameplay. Not that we didn't believe them, but we said, oh, if it does, that might happen, and here we are. So it's a two-hander tonight. As always, just head down the description below. You got everything, our podcast feeds, our YouTube feeds, our podcast network feeds. Most importantly is Patreon. You can go over there, support us, get ad-free exclusive early episodes. I might even tonight be recording, no promises patrons, but I might be recording the Dexter season 3 retro soon.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, I've done 1 and 2 right now. I was talking to Taylor about this. I'm in the middle of the season 5 rewatch though, and that's now we're in the tough times. Even Emily and I we're going through them really fast, and then once we got to 5, she's like, oh yeah, I don't know, like we could take a little break and stuff like that. But 1 and 4 we just like steamroll. But now we're in that like homework era of like, okay, you can see the
how many episodes a season again? It's
12.
been so long. Just 12. Okay, yes, that's manageable in these
They're
times.
all like a solid 50 minutes though. That's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Like they're that classic.
But I feel like that
Netflix
intro is like 5 minutes. So if you take that out,
yeah,
it probably brings it down.
And like luckily they go and play their own things, but my kids love the intro. Gwen gets excited when Dexter's that moment he like eats the bacon. She's like, oh, he's gonna eat, and then and then Logan, she cheers when she sees the words Dexter. It's a weird thing.
That is very that's like disturbing almost.
Yeah, but it's just the opening. It's the music, everything.
I always liked it too, though. I mean, it has like just a simple little melody, and yeah, it's just like oddly satisfying, like being super zoomed in and very high def. I don't know. So there's something special about that intro. I feel like I used to not skip it when I watched like every episode.
I don't let Emily too, and it's because it's fun. You haven't been in normal life, but then you have all these like serial killer innuendos. You know, he's like really viciously like squeezing an orange. He's like tying his shoes real tight and stuff like that. So no, I think I'm gonna do a predictions episode beforehand. But me and Emily, that's what we've been debating is if this new season's gonna have that. My prediction is it won't. Not to start with. I think it's gonna be something like because the whole show is about him getting back into that. So I bet like the opening might be something completely different. Plus, I think they'd have to refilm it because he's not in Miami in this season. He's like in some made up town in like New York or something.
Do you think they would do like a homage version? Like it's a similar vibe, like a new song though, and like different shots.
My prediction is whenever he does like Take a Life, the next episode, how that opens will be the homage version or something like that. Because he'll feel more like himself. But yeah, that's coming out November 7th. I'm excited. They confirmed, like it's not a spoiler. They confirmed Deborah's coming back for like not a ghost, but she's a ghost. Trinity's coming back as like a sort of ghost-like character. So they're pulling. The only two I'm really hoping for is I want Rita and I want Dokes. I really want Dokes to make an appearance. So we'll see. So that's November. Yeah, it's right around the corner. And then I'm not sure if you're in the ether or not. Season 3 of You is coming out in October.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, October 15th. It's the baby's born and all that good stuff. So
count me in. I'm down for that. That sounds fun.
Yeah. I'm very excited. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about this because I'm very interested. You and I only talked about this a little bit. So when we're recording this is September 1st. This is when they said they're going to drop the gameplay for Midnight Suns. Obviously, you can go back last week. We reviewed pretty much everything from opening night live, like everything we were interested in. We talked a little bit about stuff maybe just on the peripheral, but they said they're going to do this. I don't know if we'll do this again next week or the week after. We'll see what it is. I think we might incorporate a newscast, but next week they are doing something the 7th if you're interested. I can't remember. I think they said it was like the Hunter and Wolverine versus Sabretooth, which I already think, oh, that's cool. We're getting like villain name drops of who could be in the game. But I want to start throw it to you because we got about 6 minutes. There was a mix of gameplay. There was a mix of like the creators talking about the ideas behind the game, the gameplay. What did you take away from this? And did this get you any more excited, or are you kind of somewhere in the middle? Or
yeah, so I guess if you didn't listen to our thoughts last week, a quick recap. Like I'm pretty much down for any Marvel game like these days, except for like the mobile Guardians stuff. Yeah, well, Guardians. Yeah, that one in particular, just not happy with that either. But I love tactics games as well. And so even though I wasn't a big XCOM fan, and this is from the same devs, just Marvel Tactics, like those two words jammed together, like I'm just sold. I'm interested already. But yeah, I definitely wanted the gameplay, and we got some of that this week. I guess from just like as an overall thing, I don't think the live stream was very good. The way it was put together, I feel like it was awkward. It was like they started with like kind of a trailer, and then like the IGN guy came back on and like said some stuff, and then they did like the gameplay trailer, and then they had like another break, and then there was questions about there was like a guy, he was like questioning the dev, but like none of it was gameplay questions. It was all like unrelated stuff. And then they showed the same trailer from last week again that even at the end still said like, join us September 1st for gameplay. It's like, so they just stuck the same thing at the end. So it was a bit weird. But I think at least it at least showed me what this game's about, and answered those questions I had last week of like, what does it mean to be a tactics game, and what does it mean when they say it's going to have no mechanical similarities to XCOM.
Well,
I think. Well, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say I do agree with you on this show standpoint that it was. At first, I liked it. I was like, okay, I think this is the way to do it. You're gonna start just kind of like a small video package, right? Of like what to expect. But it was a weird mix of video package, gameplay trailer, guy introducing it, and then we got Damon Hatfield, who like I know from back IGN days, like okay, like they're one of their IGA classic guys or IGN classic guys. But then he was on like the Gamescom like fake stage or whatever it was, and it felt very like I think like, and the guy also who did. Here's the thing. I follow that guy on Twitter. I can't remember. I think his name is like Joshua Lowell or something. He's like really into Marvel comics. So I follow him. I like his tweets and stuff like that. But I think just the setup of how they are doing it didn't make him come off the greatest. Like I think they should have just picked one of those guys and done the creator thing back and forth, and no in the middle of like, here's the it felt like I think you would need that if this was a longer presentation, but with it literally only being just under 6 minutes, you didn't need two separate guys interacting with the creator, throwing to trailers. I agree with you there that just the presentation of it wasn't I'd say left a lot to be desired.
At least it wasn't too long. I do like Damon. I think he's a good he's a good podcast host. But I just felt it was weird because this is like they're really selling this as like the game, like this is the gameplay breakdown, and then none of the questions were about the gameplay. And like there's tons of questions that you could ask. Like I'm guessing they'd filmed that, you know, I don't know, last week or even longer ago, you know, like it didn't really seem tied to what they were showing today, which was weird to me. And then I just felt like the trailer too, like the narrator for the trailer they had. I don't know. I just
Weapons,
there was just something
secrets
about the stream today that just wasn't doing it for me. But obviously that's just more like the ancillary stuff, like the outside stuff. In terms of the actual game, I guess like we could talk about that now. Did you have something else you wanted to add?
Well, all I was gonna say is like I felt like two of the questions were pretty much what we'd see in the trailer, because he'd be like, "Oh, so you use cards as a battle system, eh?" He's like, "Yeah, we use cards." I hate that. Like, I just like if you're like, we've seen the trailer, we know, and especially it's just like we ask something like and I will say we got a few little nuggets that like we'll talk about
the character roster thing. That was
exactly.
good. That was a great answer.
Yeah, so that was good. I just hate ones like that where it's just like, oh, okay, you saw the trailer. Let's talk exactly about what was in the trailer. Because even though, and luckily, like you said, it's 6 minutes, it's fine. I've seen presentations like this where it's 25 minutes and you go, wow, you really wasted my time. So at least with it being this runtime, it didn't feel like it was a waste. It was like, okay. And I will say, though, I do like that already at the end. September 7th, we're coming back. That makes me at least, however the game's going to play out, makes me feel that they at least feel confident in it. You know, like they showed at Gamescom, which was, you know, opening night live was supposed to be, you know, they're trying to make it a bigger event. Then they right away said September 1st, you're going to get gameplay. Okay, September 7th, you're going to get a mission. And like you already said, the characters, I did like them saying we got 3 more. We got 12 in total. That was a nice stamp of this is what to expect. Maybe we'll get more in the middle, but I think what I like is I think they're at least doing a good job of matching or managing expectations as far as it's video games, so you never know. But I feel like this game, the way it's tracking right now, could be actually on March. You know, like I feel like them being so confident showing multiple showings of it is a good thing. So
yeah. My only thing that I was kind of curious about was they showed a couple sequences where like you're talking with characters in your home base, and like those weren't voiced. And I don't know if that was a trailer decision or if those haven't been done yet. And makes me, well, you know, that
I
seemed
thought
like
about
really
you
the
right
only
away.
detail.
Because you always prefer. I thought about you right away because you always prefer those type of RPG games where it's not voiced because there's more choices and whatnot. So right when I saw that, I'm like, oh, Dylan might be into this.
See, I don't know for this kind of game, like, I don't feel like you're going to be having, like, it's not like you're like a character in an open world game and there's thousands of characters. Like, if Wolverine has a voice and he isn't saying those lines, I feel like that will be weird. And so I don't know if that stuff hasn't been recorded or if they just didn't have it ready for this trailer, or maybe they just muted that part for the trailer, which I think is fine too. But yeah, I guess I still have so many questions after the gameplay today. We got a lot of stuff answered in terms of it not being strictly a grid kind of game. It's definitely turn-based. And rather than like having your set of abilities. It's kind of like a card game element where you're, I guess,
Mhm.
building a class kind of in a way, or building a move set, and then you're kind of just randomly dealt those moves. We kind of got the answer of like how many people you're gonna expect on a battlefield at a time. But I think for me, I'm really curious how the enemies work in the game, because we had never at no point saw like the enemies do anything. Like they're always just standing
Yeah.
still while the heroes like did some cool attacks, which makes sense. So I still have a lot of questions, and I'm definitely curious for that stream next week to see, like you said, like hopefully it's just here's a mission, it's half an hour
Yeah.
long, and it's just a mission from start to finish, and they're talking through like here's this tactical idea of why I chose this move. Here's how these cards work. Because I think I need some of that. But I wouldn't say that the stream today really increased my excitement at all. But it didn't really worry me either. I guess I'm just coming out of it not feeling really any different, which is too bad, because you kind of want something like this to get you super hyped. But hopefully that's what next week does for me.
Yeah, I'm somewhere in the middle of it because, like I told you, I liked even having the little RPG elements of you go around, talk to characters. That's fun, like dictate the conversation. I like the more you talk or grow with one character, they might be stronger or you might get different abilities. And I do hope it is a thing like we always talk about with skill trees and stuff like that, where you'll have to make certain choices. And then it's like, let's say you got to choose Wolverine or Doctor Strange on a mission, and you pick Doctor Strange, and Wolverine's a little peeved. There's some certain ability or card you can never get from him now. Like I do want that.
Mm-hmm.
I worry because it's Marvel and they want to kind of be, I won't say fun for everybody, but a bit more accessible. Like last week, we saw in that Polygon article that permadeath's not going to be a thing, right? So it's like you have that, and that's why I worry. Like same thing with, are these choices really going to matter, or could it be like if I go around eventually talking to all these characters, I could unlock everything? That's what one of
Mm-hmm.
my favorite things. I know it's different, but I've always said about Knights of the Old Republic is you can start to pick and choose between light side powers and dark side powers, but eventually you go down a path where they're going to be locked off. You either got to be a Jedi or going to be a Sith, and once you make that choice, you can no longer
Yeah.
use those powers, and that's what I really like. So I would like it if once Wolverine's pissed off at you, he's mad the same way as like I think that it's so funny. We probably haven't talked about this game in a long time, but like Detroit Become Human had some
Oh.
flaws, but I love that the same way like you and I had such a different relationship with Hank, where eventually
Mm-hmm.
there's just so many bad things I did to Hank where it could never recover. Like you had this
Yeah.
great ending with him. He shot himself in his kitchen in my story, and
Yeah.
I liked that because I tried to get on that path. I wanted to save him, but the damage had been done. So I like the potentiality of the RPG elements. Even then, I liked that idea of the Abbey, and I'll say overall, I liked the idea of the world and the story. Like it feels like they got a clear path. They know where they're going. Where obviously this is a different game, but we talk about this from Marvel Ultimate Alliance, where it's like the story it's just there. It's the story, right? It's you're gonna fight bad guys, and that's
Mm-hmm.
pretty much it. Where it's like, okay, you have this thing that has broken back, so they're bringing back this hunter who's been gone for centuries and centuries, and that's why you've never heard of her. So I like the world. I like the Abbey. The gameplay, again, as we talked about last week, I don't have much experience with this. So it was Family Clay yesterday when he put it in our Discord as far as that first image that leaked of the cards. And I was like, that feels very strange. And I feel like it is a bit more mixed online because it has that kind of, people compare it to like a mobile game or compare it to like, this looks like a 2010s game. I don't know if that's like a terrible thing, but I don't know if like they're wrong. Like I don't think it looks like, I don't look at this and I say, wow, next gen gaming. I just go, okay,
Yeah.
this is a Marvel Tactics game. So this is one where it will be very dependent on next week to see if they do a mission, like a full mission, to see how these card works. You made a good point about the enemies because I didn't even think about that. That I remember seeing them, but I don't remember them doing a thing. So like
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine there's a challenge to it. And I think this game, just by the world and by the characters and the different route they're taking, I think it's still probably a day one purchase for me. But it's one of these things that if the gameplay is just kind of really, really janky or really bad or just not enjoyable, then maybe it would be like, I'll wait till $30 or something. Like I'll buy lots of stuff Marvel, but if it's terrible, I will bypass and I will go, okay, I'll wait.
Yeah.
Like I said, for me, Avengers, I can still have a fun time with Wakanda. I can defend it to the reasons, I can go replay it. This, like I said to you, the gameplay didn't look boring, but it didn't look enticing. I'll say that. I didn't be like,
Mm-hmm.
man, I want to get this for the gameplay, which is not, that's a tough thing when you have all these cool heroes around.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that kind of stood out to me was that these battles seem really small. They seem like seem to be limited to three characters.
Mm-hmm.
I think every screenshot we saw was three or less characters, and it could be that one character, like there was the other ones in your battle, but they just weren't on screen visibly. But Seems like 3 is the maximum, and it's kind of about building like a 3-man team that's probably has good synergies and stuff together. And then the enemies, there might be, I think maybe the maximum we saw on the stream was like 7 or 8 or something like that. So I'm really curious at the scale of these battles and if that'll increase, and if you do later in the game or something like that have bigger battles where you have like 5 or 6 or something characters. But it does seem like they're really showing off this 3 character thing, and I don't know why they would limit it to that if it was more than that. So that's something I definitely am curious about.
Fanboy Clays, my only complaint is Iron Man's design. I wish that was my only complaint. I feel like you're pretty sold on this game then if it's just Iron Man's design. I know what you were saying about his boxiness, but and S-Bubs is right when he says the 2 reactions I've seen, like, oh, I like card games, or oh shit, it's a card game, ruined, I hate it. And like, I think that's one thing I'd be very interested.
It's not a card game, it's a tactics game with cards in it. Like, that's a very different thing.
I would be interested though, because they told the story again about Marvel Kingdom, we like XCOM, all this stuff. I would love to know what Marvel thinks what the goals sales wise for this game, because I do think it is a bit like, unlike Avengers or Marvel Alliance, I feel like this is a bit more even of a smaller audience. One, because even look at that type of gameplay, it's not that broad, but two, you got, of course, Iron Man and Wolverine, but still, even like Midnight Suns, you got smaller known characters, stuff like that. I wonder what they think, like, what their goal is. Obviously, we'll never know, but I like we would know if it comes out, they announce a sequel, then we go, oh, they hit it. But I'm very curious to see, one, how this game does actually sell when we get to it, but two, what their goals would be. And just before I forget, I have to point out, I hated the creator just being like, we love Midnight Suns, we've been inspired, I read so many of their comic books. Can someone still, I know it's just a mini hang up, but I still want to know, if he's such a fan and you're such a fan of the arcs and the runs, why is it Suns with a U? It's just really, it's really odd. I just don't understand Marvel from like a marketing point of view. It's Disney now, they're marketing machines, and like, it's a weird thing. You're gonna search Midnight Suns, that's not the name of any of these comic books, you'll figure it out, but it's just weird. Disney's, I don't know, it's strange.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of an oxymoron in a way too, because if it's midnight, then the sun is not going to be around. But then it's multiple suns, so that makes me think: are we in a different solar system? Like, what's going on right now?
Yeah.
I feel like we should talk more about these cards, because that seems to be like the biggest, I don't know, point of contention.
Question mark.
Yeah, it's the biggest question mark. So it's interesting to me because of tactic games in the past, like XCOM and Fire Emblem in particular, like randomness is a big part of the games, in that when in Fire Emblem, if you fire your arrow at an enemy, it might have like, say, a 70% chance to hit for this amount of damage. And XCOM is in a similar way, which can feel weird at times if you're standing right in front of someone and you are shooting them with an assault rifle and like you just miss. And it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense at all. But that's just we've gotten to the point where we kind of accept that logic.
Suspension of disbelief, right?
So yeah, exactly. And so that's interesting, because like randomness is a big part of those games for that same reason. So I wonder if this will feel that same way. It just seems weird to me, because like, if you're really a tactics game and you're playing so much about your positioning and planning out, like, okay, I'm going to do this so that next turn I'm in the position to do this kind of thing, but then next turn you have no idea what your tool set is, then I wonder how that works. It seems like it kind of is a very different kind of randomness. And I wonder if this game does have that thing too, where you have a % chance to hit. I'm going to say probably not. It seems like that's one of the things that when they say we have 0 things in common with XCOM, I feel like that's probably one of them, is it chance to hit. And I feel like that would go really far against the superhero fantasy for you to go with Wolverine, whip out the claws, pounce at someone, then like,
you missed,
even though you hit them. It's like, oh, actually that was a miss. We're gonna retcon that hit. So I'm really curious about the cards. It seems cool from a building up your style standpoint, but I wonder from the turn to turn gameplay how it will feel.
Well, there's 2 things in this trailer they kept repeating, and I this one I might have forgot, but I swear they kept saying strategic over, like, you're gonna have to be strategic, make strategic moves. So if it is that thing where you don't have a miss, I feel like you really have to be that strategic. The other thing they kept saying in the trailer was, the first time ever in a Marvel game, they said that a bunch over and over, like, you go to this location, that, but like, why?
I think they lied about the one where you make a character. There's got to be Marvel games, like a fighting game or the Lego game or something, where you create
I think the Lego
character.
game counts. The Lego game counts. And like I said, there was a game I talked to you about last week where it was X-Men Destiny, and you had to choose between the Brotherhood or the X-Men. And I guarantee you there must have been some customization, I bet. But Yeah, we'll talk about like customization in a second, but like, why do
Mhm.
you think like you touched on it a little bit, but why do you think they went with cards? Like they didn't go with powers, didn't just go with music. Why do you think they went with that? Like I like the idea of okay, you can unlock them at the Abbey talking the characters, but you can still do that with powers, right? You don't have to make a
Mhm.
card. So I think it is like out of everything in the Marvel world, I think everything tracked and it didn't like kill my hype, but when they did go, oh, and you get to do these cards, it was just like it's very strange for it, like you said, it's not a card game, but that's your
Mhm.
like Wolverine's powers are, well, he has these cards. And I know it's not literal, like you said, suspension of disbelief, but it's a weird, like I wonder in the process where they decide this is what's gonna
Yeah.
be used.
I I honestly wonder if it's just because it's something different and it's as simple as that. And it's like, they're like, let's try it out. And then they maybe
Yeah.
eventually down the road, they realize that it works. And maybe they just wanted to do something very different. And I mean, card games like Slay the Spire is very popular. Hearthstone's very popular. Like people like card games. And I guess
Gwent was for a
maybe,
while, and they
yeah, maybe they
killed
just
it.
wanted Gwent, yeah. Maybe they just wanted to try something different. I think to me, like based on what the trailer is showing explicitly, it seems to me like the idea behind it was that they wanted the battles to feel perhaps a little bit more frantic. So you can't always predict what's going to happen next turn.
Mm.
Obviously, in these games, usually like the enemy's movements you don't know for certain. So that's kind of where the franticness comes in. But in this game, it might be like, okay, well, I put myself in this position, but the next turn I don't actually have this one OP healing move from Wolverine that I was hoping for. So instead, I'm gonna have to pull Doctor Strange in there to do some healing, something like that. The other thing that I'm curious with it is from the like this is one of the reasons I really want to see like a turn or two turns back to back to see what that looks like, because it showed like kind of the start of your turn, it looks like you get maybe a hand of like say 6 cards or something. And I'm
Mhm.
curious, let's say you have 3 heroes on your team. Do you get 2 cards for each character? So you have like essentially one option each, or is it just like, oh, you actually have 5 cards here for Doctor Strange and one for Wolverine, and you're kind of limited in a turn that way, where Magic is off on the side and she got no cards this turn, so
Yeah.
she's just sitting there. Like I'm really curious about that. So that hopefully we'll have that answered next week, and I would hope it's something balanced in a way where every character has like multiple options. But if it's something as simple as you have 2 options in a turn and that's it, then that seems to me like obviously you have probably any movement option you want. You can go anywhere you want, but in terms of the actual attack you're going to use, if you're limited down to like 2 or 1 option a turn, well, one, that's not even an option, but two,
Yeah.
that doesn't seem like there's much room for tactics. It seems like kind of just rolling with the cards you're dealt. And I don't know, that seems to me very opposite to what a tactics game normally is. So I don't know. That's why this gameplay, I just feel like I came up with even more questions than I had, than I got answers, unfortunately.
We don't have another Avengers situation on our hands, where it's gonna slowly come out more and more, we're, like, worried
Yeah.
about it, but, well,
I
it
like that
is
they at least had said, "Hey, next week, here's more." Like, I like that
yeah.
they're no telling us when we can expect more, which is nice.
And they did say, like, no microtransactions, stuff like
Mhm.
that, no
That's
play to
good.
win and everything. They did say, like, there might be some cosmetic stuff that's like that, and that's to be expected. I just hope, again, it's just like, as somebody that even plays Call of Duty, the fact that to buy skins and battle passes on Call of Duty is cheaper than Avengers, and I get it's Marvel and stuff like that, but like I said, I really wanted to get on, the War for Con review I talked about, I wanted to get the Endgame Iron Man one. I would have spent, like, 5 or $7 on it, but the fact that it was, like, over $20 to get all these credits, like, no
That's
way. I'm
so
not
silly.
not for a skit. Like, they could have
But
easily
Travis,
got
you can make all of that in game.
oh,
Yeah, it's such a
yeah.
fallacy. Hey, all
Oh,
this
I know. And
bullshit.
it's like, even then too, like, I would be willing to pay, like, that $20 if I were to get, like, 4 caution, but just 1?
You
Like,
paid $80 for the game. Yeah, you
well,
should have access to
yeah,
more.
$20 is a quarter of the game for just
Yeah,
Endgame Iron Man, but
yeah.
so I will be
So
interested. I
silly.
still gotta sign up for that Blade thing and get that, but,
Yeah, I do.
and that's the thing where so we talked about this last week as far as that was the other mixed reaction as far as oh like I got to play as not the X-Men or not the Marvel characters, and I was like oh but they're still playable, don't worry. And it looks like it's a mix where we talk about where the hunter is always going to have to be with you, I assume, because they're your guy, you're talking, that's who you're talking at the what was it, the Abbey or whatnot, and that's the RPG and how you're unlocking the cards. So I feel like they have to be with you. Maybe we'll get revealed at some point they're not, maybe they're just showing that right now because like they're promoting the game. I would love to
Mhm.
have the option because like I, I don't mind the option of like we've created a new character for the guide, but at the same time, like I am in the sense where there is thousands of Marvel characters where I would say, okay, we'll just take a character and make them the main story of this character, even lesser known character. Like the way how you guys didn't know the character from Runaways, use her and make her the main character, and we'll get to after too, but they showed like you could make the hunter man or female and like lots of customization and stuff like that. But if it is the hunter's always around, then it is just you only get to bring 2 Marvel heroes. And I'm saying only, I'm being like it's a first world problem thing, but it's still just like now you're limited where if you had the hunter gun, you could make 3. I like that slot, but 2, like that squad, but 2 is for me at least like a little limiting. Like I wish I had, I think 3 is that glory spot again. 3 is great if I'll like because here's the thing with the hunter now, I don't know what play type I'm gonna do because like if I have to use my spots correctly, I'm more of like we've talked about Marvel Alliance or even with Avengers, I'm more of a brawler type of player. But if I want to bring Wolverine, do I really want to make the hunter a brawler? Now that could be the fun of the game, but I also feel like that could be a nuisance of like, am I going to make the hunter just some character that's just there to kind of support the team because I can't add a third and I'm really just going to be playing the Marvel people? And there's a chance I might be because like, sure, the hunter can be cool enough. I'll try, but it's like at the end of the day, I want to play as Ghost Rider. I want to play as Blade. There's been so many years of shit Marvel games, and now we're getting these characters. I want to play as them as much as the hunter might be a fun idea. But
yeah, I'd love to try out the variety of the cast, but sorry for Taylor, but like if really we're only picking 2 characters per mission, I'm never gonna get to Ghost Rider. Like that's just not gonna happen. There's too many other people in line. A few points on what you
I like that he's already at the last for you. You don't know.
Honestly, I do not. Just to be honest, I do not like the look of this Ghost Rider.
Oh, you don't like Robbie Reyes with the
I don't like
and
it.
everything?
It doesn't do it for me. So that's maybe one reason. He looks a bit too much like Sweet Tooth or something.
Well, there's 2 things I want to say. One, did you see Ghost Rider's finisher though? That was really cool.
Where that's pretty badass.
Yeah, when he turned like the big
very carnival, like crazy,
and he's just shooting fire out. But I will say, what if you get one of those classic Ghost Rider costumes, or like Cosmic Ghost Rider? Like, hopefully his costumes will look a bit more spiffy and whatnot.
No, I mean, I think between having like the bike and the flame whip, like he has some cool moveset potential, but it's just if you're that limited, it's hard to pick him. I will say, so I was cruising around in the Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 Discord today because I'm still in there. Great.
Waiting for number 4 to be announced.
Yeah, exactly. When I was so hyped for that game, that was a great community to hang out with. And I haven't really been there recently, but they have like a Midnight Suns channel. And someone did post a screenshot that was, I think, in the trailer, or it might have been a screenshot from on some other site that did an interview or something like that. And it did have an image of, I think it was Captain America, Wolverine, and Blade in a level or something like that. So you had 3, and one of them wasn't the hunter. So I think one thing right now is like they're really trying to sell you on the hunter, which makes sense. They're pitching a new Marvel character in a game with Iron Man, Captain America, Wolverine. Like they need to try and sell their character, and so I think part of it might be that they're in that phase right now. Also, the character's so tied to the story, so that might be one reason why. And obviously, showing some of the customization today. So I'm hopeful that maybe it isn't mandatory because, as you said, like if you build your character as a whatever type you choose,
a brawler.
Yeah, exactly. Then it takes away, like that means you're always going to have that one same brawler on your team, which really takes away from it. Like I think the beauty of these Marvel games is that you can switch out your roster and different heroes based on like the enemies you're facing or the environments you're in, and maybe they have pros and cons or different synergies. But if you're so limited by how you build your custom characters' powers, then I feel like that really takes away some of the enjoyment of switching out the roster.
Because I was gonna say because 2 things is like either the game is not strategic and it doesn't really matter. Like you have 2 brawlers and it's just okay, this is a little disappointing, or you will be at a disadvantage because like, oh, I like the brawler type character to play as, but then I also want a Wolverine, or I kind of feel like Captain America and Blade will probably be kind of around that. Blade might not be a full-on brawler, but he's kind of been a bit more hack and slash. So it's like, again, like I said, either it won't make a difference or you're going to be stuck with 2 brawlers because I don't know. But then, like I said, then do I make the hunter some character that I don't really care about to play with because I just want to have Wolverine, get him, boost up his stats, everything. But I do think, like when you said, I know what they're doing. I just think I've seen this before in comics. I've seen this many times in wrestling where it's just like you have the thing and you try to push it really hard and we know what happens. People rebel against it. They go, I don't want hunter, screw that. And you just, I don't know. I think it's I'll be interested to see what they do in game. Because again, yes, they made her a part of the story, but you could easily, for this story, Magic is the daughter. Like you easily use any. So when they start pushing Hunter really hard, I just wonder if I'd love to see if you don't play as Hunter, if that's an option. The stat time of people, like once you unlock that ability, how many people ditch the Hunter, and it's just all about the Marvel heroes,
Yeah. I mean, I think I would still use the character just from the ability that you can customize them and I can make something unique and cool, and
Yeah.
maybe there isn't a character that has like maybe there isn't like a close range tanky supporting healing kind of character. Obviously Wolverine would probably heal himself, but probably not healing other people.
No.
So maybe that would be a fun build to go for. And like you're not gonna be able to probably make those builds with other characters that have more set powers. So I'm still interested in it, but one suggestion I was going to say is in Fire Emblem, particularly Three Houses, but other Fire Emblems as well. Like you kind of have your protagonist character in those games. Usually it's a lord or some other, just some other protagonist. And in any story mission, you have to use those characters. But when you're doing side quest missions, you're doing like things in between the main quest missions, then you can switch out. You can take that character off. You don't have to use them in your roster. And at the very least, I think this could be the same thing here, where in between main story missions, you can go off and do a short little side quest. And in those missions, you wouldn't need to use the hunter. You can use whoever you want. Uh,
Yeah. Or is
which
there
would
maybe
make
a chance where it's like a new game plus sort of thing? Like once you beat a main mission, it's like go replay these missions with any character you want now, that sort of
yeah.
deal, which I don't really want. I would like to have that option whenever I please, but
Mm-hmm.
if they really want to push the hunter, I don't know. And I did like they showed like lots of costumes, obviously powers. We talked about this last week. That's another one to get me excited for the hunter. Is it a whole new world, tons of powers, or is it you have Doctor Strange Fire Blast, you have Blade
Yeah,
Sword
I
Attack?
really hope it's a little more
Yeah.
unique than that for
And if
sure.
it's not, that makes me even less excited to play the hunter as well, But I like the idea, like clearly it looks like with the box. Well, the box art, the hunter's not even going to be on it, I don't think. But with all the advertising, it's the female. But you can choose male or female, doesn't really matter, I guess, for the story, because it's just like you're the offspring of Lilith and stuff like that. So it, I'm down to see more. It's not like I said, it hasn't convinced me, but I'm down to see more, and hopefully I don't feel burdened, and I'm the whole time thinking, oh man, I wish I could have 3 Marvel heroes. Do you have
Mm-hmm.
any, if the hunter is included, like has to be, do you have any combo right now that you're eyeing of like you're gonna go to right away?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you this as well. I mean,
Yeah.
I've got to use Doctor Strange. Now, I've been
Mhm.
burned before in Ultimate Alliance 3. Fucking hate they did such a poor job with Doctor Strange's kit. But I mean, it's in this we saw him, I think, like essentially cloak Wolverine, which is really cool that he can
Yeah.
make your teammates invisible, not invincible. Maybe he can make them invincible as well.
Yeah.
But I feel like he will really be that kind of AoE healer type character, crowd control kind of character as well, range
Which you
attacks.
need in this game. I feel if
Hmm.
it's done well, you need in this game.
You probably need at least one of them on your team. So I think
Yeah.
he'll probably be a lock for me. And then I really want to use Blade, man. I love that
Yeah.
Blade's in this game. He doesn't get he's been getting more love lately. Obviously the movie is like announced and whatnot, but I'm really excited for Blade. So I feel like he'll kind of be my go-to close range character. I want to use Wolverine as well, but if I'm limited to only have like 2 opposite characters, then I feel like
Mhm.
I'll go with Blade over Wolverine. But I do plan on kind of trying everyone out. And then so let's say, yeah, Blade, Doctor Strange, and if I don't have to use Hunter, I mean, I will use Hunter sometimes, but if I don't have to use Hunter, then I like Nico or Magic, I think, as kind of a third slot. Even if they're similar to Doctor Strange, I like their type. And I feel like if I have to use the Hunter all the time, then I'm probably gonna make the Hunter an a character like that, like a magic
Yes.
character, a magic range character, probably with a staff of some sort, rather than a close range character. Because I feel like there is a really good quantity of close range characters just in the roster that I would want to use already. But what's your dream team so far with Hunter
I
and without Hunter?
I hate to be boring because, like, with Hunter, I have pretty much the same team as you. For me, it all depends on how Blade plays because, as Buzz
Yeah.
brought up, Blade will probably be a medium range type character, which I agree with. He was almost that way in Marvel Ultimate Alliance, but if
Hmm.
he is very hack and slash in that sort of way where it's kind of a little comparable, at least to Wolverine,
Yeah.
then I could see Wolverine kind of getting the bump or see them switching places back and forth. Strange, just to me in this game, feels like a natural, like, he's the first round draft pick, in my opinion. Also, just like, it's the aesthetic, it's the feel. So I feel like Strange is always going to be there. Will mention like a character I want that could replace him when we talk about those other 3 characters. But
Hmm.
so Strange and yeah, Blade. I think like you talked about, Magic was another one that's on my list. of course Cap is, because like I know like it's maybe like a stereotype for me. Like I love Captain America. He's in a top 10 comic character for me. He was my main in Marvel Alliance. He's my main in Avengers. So I feel like they're just like, oh, of course Cap could be, you know, your main here. But like I feel Cap being a main in this game might not be a foregone conclusion, because I just like what I like is that shield attack, and especially in Avengers, I love that feeling of like upgrading the shield and the ricochet and catching it. Like when you can throw a shield and then kick it back and throw it again, like that's so cool. I don't know if I'll have the same oomph when I'm like picking a card to do that, right? So that's where it's like I don't know if he'll be my main. I feel like
he will be supportive, as I feel like he might be that one like close range melee support character though, and that could be a really cool mix. And I agree, like I loved him in I don't even like the character in concept necessarily, but I loved him in Ultimate Alliance and Marvel's Avengers. So
well, and I feel
solid in the games.
I feel like, and it might not be to the same extent of Doctor Strange, but they even hinted about that, like he would almost have very much like he has Marvel Alliance, like a war cry, like ally thing, right? So it's like if Strange might heal you, maybe Cap can't do that, but he'll give some inspirational words, and you'll like go up 10 by strength or something like that. So right now, if there was no Hunter, I honestly had like the Strange magic, and then flipping between Blade and Wolverine. One that could surprise, because I did really like her in Marvel Alliance, is Captain Marvel. Like because she's just such a powerful character. I'll be excited to do. Well, yeah, and that's thing where it's like she's not a brawler. She's not gonna be like the support person. So I'll be interested to see how she does. The only person that like, and I know Clay was mentioning him, and I don't think he looked the greatest either. And I will say I feel like he's just like the Marvel Batman, where it's like you got to have him in a game to sell. But like I also just think like the more I see this world, I just don't think Tony fits in this game. I don't think Iron Man fits in this game. I don't know what else like, because clearly I feel like they, even in the story, you probably need some sort of science character, right? If that was the fact, I feel like Banner was the way to go, in my opinion. I feel like he fits this aesthetic way more. And plus, we don't have like a tank guy really, right? Like that's where I think maybe Captain Marvel could be the tankiest person, because she is just so power and she can kind of like go into ultra mode and stuff. So I'm just not feeling Iron Man. I will try him, but it's funny, like I didn't really feel him Marvel Ultimate Alliance. I liked him in Avengers eventually, so he's the only one. And yeah, Nico and Magic, yeah, they're both ones that like I would dabble in the game. But yeah, right now Strange is the main one for sure, because I think he could be a lot of fun here.
Yeah, I'm super excited for him. I guess so. Yeah, you mentioned this earlier, but they said 12 characters. We have 9 announced right now. We just mentioned all of them, so we don't need to re-mention them.
Yeah,
but
and it doesn't count Hunter. They said at least on the stream. Watch them in 2 weeks. Walk that back. You'll be like, oh,
I mean that could have been a slip of the tongue, but I mean, considering this was pre-recorded, I feel like they would fix that slip of the tongue. But so they get 3 more added for the base game at least. We'll go with that running theory for the next few months. First of all, before you even kind of predict or who we want, like, do you think we'll see them before the game comes out, or do you think they're holding that to be secret stuff? Because I feel like at least 1 or 2 more. You want to have some big game, Game Awards trailer where like here's Hulk and you can do some cool stuff with them. Like I feel like they'll maybe show more, but at the same time, I also feel like they've shown such a great roster so far that I don't think they need to necessarily.
Wow,
like they could just show more villains or side characters, and that could get people hyped.
It's almost like we've been podcasting for like 6 years. I was gonna ask you the same thing of like, do you show that hand or not? And I honestly don't. If it would have been, if the trailer would have opened up with Strange, Blade, Ghost Rider, that sounds bad. We didn't even talk once about Ghost Rider as one of our potential guys. So that shows you where he is on
Taylor,
the
man.
chain.
That's Taylor's domain. He'll be the one in the review that tells you how great Ghost Rider is.
I will say, no, but I will walk that back. Even though
if I don't have to use Hunter, I'll try him out. But if I have to use Hunter, I don't have room for you, Ghost Rider. You're warming the bench, buddy.
I'll walk it back, because I would say like I'm not the biggest Ghost Rider guy, but when I did see his finish in this trailer, that actually did get me hyped. I was like, you know what? Maybe he could be that surprising rageous psychopath character. So honestly, like, to give him some credit, I'm more excited to try him more than an Iron Man or a Cap or even a Captain Marvel. So I will walk that back. But I think if the trailer would have been Midnight Suns, Magic, Strange, Ghost Rider, Blade, then I would have felt like, okay, you have to show more. But they already showed like Iron Man and Cap, arguably the most popular MCU characters. Wolverine, arguably, probably after Spider-Man, the most popular Marvel character. So it's just like and Captain Marvel, $1 billion movie. So I think that maybe if there, let's say, is legitimately just 3 more, and I have a question to ask you about that, but if there's just 3 more, I feel maybe you show 1 more, but then save a few of those for the actual game. I think, like you said, the way already when they just casually dropped like a mission against Sabretooth next week, I was like, Sabretooth, that's awesome. And that they to me are already doing what Marvel Avengers has really failed to do, is really using their villains. They are, like even War for Wakanda, they had Crossbones and Claw in there, but there's only been a few. There's been Mastro, there's been MODOK, there's been Abomination, but I feel like for the Avengers, the main heroes, they should have had that plan. Like every 2 months, you're getting a big character, or even not even big, just you're fighting Bullseye.
That would bring
this
me
month.
back to the game. If here's
Yeah.
a big villain to just fight every month, I'd
Yeah.
come back every month to try those out. Yeah.
And yeah, they don't have to be a big villain. Yeah, you're fighting Bullseye. Okay, sure, cool. Let's see what Bullseye has in store for the Avengers this month. So the fact that they were already like, oh, Sabretooth, here you go. I think that's what you'd lead with, more villains. Maybe you could show some cameos from non-playable characters. That could be the route, because I'm sure we'll bump into some, like whether it's a Nick Fury. Like they already name dropped Hydra in this trailer, right? So it's like clearly you're setting up that world. Maybe there's a Red Skull villain. Like I think you could save almost all of those because the main ones are out there. But that's what I was going to ask you. Do you think these are for sure, like, okay, in the middle of the game you unlock the Marvel Alliance cell, or do you think these are 3 characters to come like after base game? Or do you think there could be like this is base game and then there could be even more down the line?
The way he said it on the stream made it sound like there's 12 in the game at launch that are just included with no extra price or anything like that. Colson, that would be no. I don't want that to be one of my 12. Make that a microtransaction.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a good number for a game that, like, think about it. If the game has 3-man teams, 12, that's 4 full teams. Like that seems like a pretty good quantity of characters. Cool. Even 13 if you throw a Hunter in there, which I count Hunter. Hunter's cool. So I think we'll see at least 1 more, but I don't know I think they might want to hold back on a couple. And I think they absolutely can. I guess I'm curious to see how the rollout of this game goes, because I mean March is far away, but not too far away. Sometimes for game announcements, we get them like a year or 2 in advance.
Well, like you and SBub said, Game Awards is a for sure lock. I feel like if they're already working with Keighley, whether that is not a final trailer, but like another big one, I think you do show 1 more big character there. And then I feel like you hush up, and because that's December, so January, February, March, in those 3 months, you just show clips, gameplay, hands-on stuff like that. I think Game Awards, you do need a big oomph. And I think, like, obviously they're different companies, but I feel like Marvel Alliance always did a good job at whatever they were. It was like, okay, we're showing a Magneto, we're showing Doom, like they did a good job of every time they showed up somewhere, they even had 1 character. So, or even if it's a new location, like something, from a movie, Asgard, Wakanda, like something like that. But I think Game Awards is a foregone conclusion now.
And I can't remember last year what was at the Game Awards Marvel wise, but the year before was a DLC for Ultimate Alliance 3, and the year before was the announcement for Ultimate Alliance 3. Well, do you remember if there was something last year at the Game Awards, like Marvel's Avengers? I'm trying to think, maybe like a Kate Bishop thing.
Yeah, I don't think this. I think maybe just Kate Bishop. I don't think it was anything. Wow, like okay, we didn't see that coming. I don't think so this year, because no Guardians was at E3.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. So this would kind of fit that.
Yeah, and plus, like you said, they already kind of showed their cards working with Keighley. Showed their cards. I can say that all the time for this game now. So I'm really curious to see how they continue to promote this game, considering that a game announced, like, it was leaked, but that's not an official thing. But then last week they announced it. This week they had gameplay. Next week they have even more gameplay. So that's a lot to do in 3 weeks. So I wonder if they're going to keep that momentum going, and like every month we can expect something, which I feel like would probably be a bit too much. Like maybe you want to hold back a little bit, maybe hold off for after this thing next week, hold off for a couple months, come back big in Game Awards with something. But yeah, I feel like they'll definitely have at least 1 more big trailer, and then probably a launch trailer. So yeah, hopefully we'll see 1 more. I guess the only other new character that I could pick out today, I guess obviously Sabretooth was kind of announced by name, but we saw that Caretaker is this kind of your NPC guiding character at the base, kind of like your Nick Fury equivalent for the Midnight Suns, I suppose, which looked a lot like Stick to me. Like obviously she's a woman, but is this supposed to be like a woman version of Stick, or is it just like she had the green jacket and kind of a scarf that looked like
I think it's just a coincidence, but I can't particularly.
Okay.
I'm sure the caretaker, because they were setting actual common runs. I'm sure she's from something, but I don't think she's a mainstay as far as,
Okay.
oh, she has this luscious history of being this and
Yeah.
this and this. Yeah.
But yeah, that's not a playable character by any means. That's just your NPC guiding you
Yeah.
through levels. But yeah, I guess so. We have three. Let's say we have 3 more characters,
Mhm.
and we may or may not get them before launch. Who are your dream picks? First of all,
Oh, my dream picks. So my dream picks, I think, are pretty close to what we could get. I said Moon Knight last week, so I already
yep.
got that. And I talked about the Doctor Strange equivalent. I very much want Scarlet Witch. I think she would
Hmm.
be perfect for this. After that, who would be my dream pick for like a third? Ooh, that's interesting. Like I could go like the easy route of saying like a Daredevil because you could have some fun
You
stuff.
just named my 3
Yeah,
in a row.
we
Yeah.
did this again, but like because my thinking was like for my dream one, I'm pretty happy with almost anybody. Like I would also like a Elsa Bloodstone. Like it wouldn't be as hype
Yeah.
for some people, but I've been a fan of her since Marvel Alliance. And
She's making it big. I feel like in the last
yeah,
couple of years.
like,
Yeah.
and looking into her and everything like that, like, I'm trying to think of, like, even if there was, like, a villain, like, I don't think it would be Loki, but someone that sort of realm, but
I would love if we got Daredevil and Elektra. Like that
yeah, yeah,
duo
yeah.
would be so fun to use. Even if it was alongside Hunter, I'm down. But that would be so much fun to have that duo work together.
Yeah, and I think that that's what I've been thinking the whole time is, are they gonna be purely Midnight Sun characters, or are they gonna do how they are like, "Oh, we have a character from X-Men, a character from Midnight Suns, a character from the Avengers." I could see them following that route that Moon Knight is your Midnight Sun, Scarlet Witch kind of doubles, but she's your X-Men. Clay put it in here as like a meme, but like the just waiting for the Spider-Man announcement. I
On a
would
on the PlayStation consoles
well,
only.
no,
Yeah.
let's not hope that, but I wouldn't put it past them. What I would hope is instead of Spider-Man, it would be Venom. That would be my full-on hope that that's the route they go,
That'd be cool.
especially if we were to do like like if we're trying to have a tankier, bigger Venom, like we talk about, there's no tank. He could kind of work as that. The same with Marvel Alliance, he's a bit more tankier. So, and but Clay, I think if Spider-Man was in this game, they would lead with it. I really do. I think Venom is enough where you could like hide it and have like a really cool surprise. But that's kind of my 3 of my thinking: is Sky Witch, Moon Knight, and Venom. I just have some. I don't know why. I just have a gut feeling we're not going to get Moon Knight. I don't know why.
Hmm.
It just like I just want it so bad. So that's I think it will, because I feel like if you look at them on paper, they are similar. And I feel like if they're gonna pick between Moon Knight and Daredevil, they'd probably go Daredevil, just
Yeah.
popularity, stuff like
I
that.
forget,
Ooh.
is that TV show coming out this year?
Moon Knight is next year.
Okay.
So it works. It come out 2022. Now, Fanboy Clay, I bet you meant
Yeah, I
to
like
say
these picks.
Morbius though, but not because Mobius is who Owen Wilson plays in Loki. Unless that's who you went. But Daredevil, Jean Grey, and if you said Morbius, Morbius would be great. That would be fantastic,
Well,
actually.
yeah, I think he fits. I mean, obviously, like we know that this protagonist Hunter character is a vampire. The main villain's a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
Blade's vampire Hunter. So Morbius fits. Plus, I mean, I was looking up a little bit Midnight Suns stuff, and I think Morbius is an original member of the like original Midnight Suns,
Yeah.
or at least a prominent character in the storyline. So I think that would be a good pick. And I'm down. Like I love Morbius and Ultimate Alliance. He was a lot of fun in there, and he's getting a movie, so it makes sense. He's like they're trying to make him a bigger character. Plus, he was had some wild storylines in the Spider-Man animated show. So I'm a big
Sucking some
Morbius fan.
plasma. And
Yeah,
that's what I want. Like,
and then but I guess to mention Clay's other pick, Jean Grey. I guess I was wondering too. Like, what do you think the odds are of any more X-Men characters? Because obviously you have like one Runaways character, you have a couple Avengers, and then some Midnight Suns, and then what's the one I'm missing?
Magic and Wolverine are the
Yeah,
two
just the two
X-Men.
kind of
Yeah.
X-Men characters. Like, I don't know if we'll get another one, but Jean Grey would be cool though.
Jean Grey's the most, and that's the thing where it's like Magic is like in to me, it's like when they say X-Men, everyone's been a member of the X-Men, but I feel like she's just more
Yeah.
mutants than X-Men. But yeah, I don't know if the X-Men fit here. Like I'm very interested to see how they get Wolverine story wise. He's just there to sell copies. He's there because people love him. He's a mainstay and stuff like that. And I don't know if there's anyone right now who would fit. I think Jean Grey could work. Like again, if you want a tank, you could somehow work in
I
Colossus
feel
because
like
that is
Gambit could be really.
yeah,
Has cards.
yeah.
Oh my god, Gambit uses cards. It's been in front of us the whole time. He's
We cracked the
guaranteed.
code. Like, and if they like again, I'm thinking they're not going to do this, but if they want a tank, you could kind of introduce Colossus because that is Magic's brother, so there could be like a story reason for him
Yeah.
getting involved somehow. But I think you could make this exact game with X-Men. Clay says we've been saying that about every game though, right? We said that about
Oh,
Marvel
I want
Alliance. We said
another
about
X-Men Legends. Even
Avengers.
though I haven't played them, I
Yeah,
want an X-Men Legends game, a new one.
yeah.
I also think, I mean, this is a very normie pick, but Hulk, I think, obviously is one of
Mhm.
the most popular
Yeah.
Marvel characters ever. But I think just as like a really mass, because like Wolverine and Captain America, and I feel like Captain Marvel will have tanky abilities, and you could probably build them that way if you want to. Plus Hunter, if we can build them any way we want, like that, there's another room for a tank right there. So I don't necessarily think we need Hulk, but he could be cool as like a way of interacting with the environment more by throwing stuff around. He could also kind of have like taunting abilities that kind of drag enemies in. And then yeah, I mean, I just think he could be an interesting move set in general. And then obviously he's just popular character. Like that could be a good sizzle real
Yeah.
character to have at a Game Awards thing. So I don't know. I think they could do that. I don't think that would be one of my top picks just because I didn't mention them, but yeah, my list was always Scarlet Witch, Moon Knight, and Daredevil. I really would like Scarlet Witch at the very least. Moon Knight, yeah, I mean Moon Knight's so cool. I hope he's in there, and then I'm just such a big Daredevil fan and I feel like he fits in that world as well. So I'd
Yeah.
really like to see him.
Scarlet Witch, I feel like I don't want to say is a lock, but I feel like is
Yeah,
I'd be very surprised if she was not in this game. She's more popular than she's ever been. I also feel like it's always good to have more female characters there because we got
yeah.
a few now. Well, we got Nico, we got Magic, and we got the Hunter and Captain Marvel. So
Mhm.
what? We have 9. So you know what? Almost 50%. So not too bad. But again, make it if there's gonna be 3 more, you could easily
Yeah.
add 2
I
more
wonder
females and male. You know,
I
like
wonder if they don't have it, it could be like, well, we already have other magic characters or characters that would have similar abilities. So maybe it's too much crossover. But even then, I still think they could come up with a lot of creative moves for her. So
Mr. Fantastic in this game. I don't know if I want it for just personality wise, but it would be fun to see him like decked out one of these like
I'd be down for Sue Storm or
these gothic
yeah.
things. What about Thing? You know, get the Thing in there. But
Yeah. I mean, I'll take Hulk over Thing, but
I
the Thing
agree.
is
I'll take
still
Venom over Thing. I'll take a lot of I'll take the Juggernaut.
yeah.
Yeah. But
I
but
guess I was also thinking like ones that make sense. I think Morbius makes a lot of sense, and I think that is
yeah.
actually pretty likely that that will happen. If he's not playable, I think he's probably in the game somewhere
Mhm.
as a
The
character.
boss you even fight too.
Yeah, and then even I think Elsa. I don't know if she's necessarily that likely, but I think it would be a really cool pick, just as a more obscure character who kind of is having more appearances lately. Really unique character, and yeah, I think that would be a lot of fun. Plus, she's vampire related as well. She's always hunting things in the underworld, I
Yeah.
guess. So I think that would be. I'd be really happy with Elsa as well if that ends up being one of the last ones we get here.
Yeah. No. I'm down. So yeah, I'm excited for next week to see that actual thing. I'm
Mhm.
just excited to see the roll for the next few months, and I'm excited to see again Marvel doing something different. It's not just another okay. Here's a very similar game to Avengers, Marvel Alliance. This could be something. This could
Mhm.
be something for a smaller audience, and maybe even someone like myself. When I get it, I might not love it, but I like that we're taking the chance. And why not? You got so much IP, start matching with different genres. You know?
Yeah. I also you mentioned this kind of in your overall, but they talked about the Abbey today, which is kind of your
Yeah.
hub area where you can hang out and just do things with the other Midnight Suns. You can I don't know, just meditate with them. You can do training stuff. You can go for walks with Tony Stark in the jungle.
You can
And you
meditate
can
with magic.
get collectibles and probably unlock new cards and set up your decks and stuff.
You
And
can't have
I'm
sex with any of them though. They clarified that.
yeah,
Yeah.
he honestly he was a bit cagey on that, so I don't know what's going on there.
Close friends. He said, but I think
Yeah, maybe they won't
yeah.
show any scenes, but maybe there's like is some relationships that can go on. But I'm pretty excited for that part of the game. I think that's actually the thing today that I like the look of the most. Or like the
Yeah.
gameplay, I still need to be sold on. But in terms of the Abbey stuff, like I'm really excited for those in between moments. And once again, this is one of the things where like never before in a Marvel game have you been able to hang out and get to
That's
know
a
your
lie.
characters. I'm like that is 100% bullshit. First of all,
You can do
but
that Marvel Alliance 1.
yeah, but I do think, yeah, exactly. But I do think it is really cool the way they showed it. I like those activities. Hopefully, they are cool beyond the 2 to 3 hour mark, beyond like 2 or 3 missions of doing
Yeah.
it. Hopefully, it's interesting throughout the game because the latest Fire Emblem had a similar thing, but I felt like in the second half, it kind of just became something you'd go through to like level up your skills, and it wasn't as interesting for like the story elements. So hopefully that keeps on going, especially with like having a smaller cast. Hopefully those conversations and getting to know the characters gets really in depth. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. That's like part of the world building where I was like, yeah, I think it really hit home and it worked. And man, it just made me hope that that Harry Potter RPG game is really good next year because it
Yeah.
had that type of Hogwarts vibe. And that's what reminded me of GameCube Harry Potter when you're walking around, you could like pull a book and it does something. So, man, I
Mhm.
want that Harry Potter game to be good. I really
Yeah, me
want that.
too.
And I'm not even the biggest fan of Harry Potter, but like, I just think that world is just so right for some fun stuff. And that when I saw them in the corridors, all this stuff, it's like, that's what I want. I want to be like walking through Hogwarts, going through the restricted areas, stuff like that.
Mhm.
Like, I hope that's good. But yeah, no, the Abbey, it looked fun, but I hope it's not just you get in there and you could do everything within like half an hour. It's like, oh, okay, they just built up a lot more. I even when they're like, oh, you
Yeah.
go into a room and you find something special, I could help one of your cards or abilities. Like, okay, this could be tons of fun, or it could just be, yeah, in 45 minutes I cleared it and now there's nothing to do in here and let's play the missions.
Yeah, and hopefully there's like you mentioned earlier, consequences to your actions. Like there doesn't need to be permadeath for there to be consequences. You just by if I don't ever pick Ghost Rider, he could be really salty and mad at me and hate me when we're going around the camp, and I think that would be really cool, and that would incentivize me to like want to use this character that maybe gameplay wise I'm not as interested in.
Yeah.
And then yeah, just building
He's just
relationships and
trashing on the side.
yeah, I'm pretty excited for that part of the game. And then my last kind of quick notes is most of these tactics games are every single one that I've ever heard of is on a grid of some sort, usually square grid, but sometimes hex grids as well. And this game doesn't seem to have that, or at least they didn't show it in these trailers, which makes sense. Sometimes even in those tactics games, they don't have the grid on. But in this game, it didn't look like you're playing on a strict grid, which is interesting because it'll mean the maps are a little more open, a little more loose. But I think the main reason why you have those grids in the first place is because that makes it really obvious where your attacks can hit, how much range you have, where you're vulnerable to get hit. So it's like mechanically really important. So I'm curious to see how this game works without having that. I do really like the look of the maps. I think they seem to have a good amount of destructibility on them. They seem to have a good amount of objects that you can hide behind, but then also, you can hide behind something, but then it gets smashed and destroyed. And then there seems to be a good variety of locations from like the New York rooftops to like these kind of Badlands desert areas to like hell and whatnot. So I'm really excited for the maps. That's a big part of these games for me. I'd like to see maybe a bit more verticality to them. They all seem like kind of flat and kind of small, but at least I like the kind of props that are in there, and I like the settings, so that has me excited as well.
Yeah, the underground of Hydra and all that sort of stuff. So
Always something like that, yeah. The
yeah, so
helicarrier, I'm sure that'll be a level. Well,
of
actually, maybe not.
course.
It's not Avengers specific, so maybe they won't do that this
There might
time.
be one. Well, we're already going to their tower though, right? So I'm sure you'll
I
take a
hope we
ride
get
in
an
the
X Mansion
Helicarrier.
level. That would be cool. Give me some
Yeah,
of
that
that.
that would be good. So yeah, we'll see. Obviously, we're interested in the game. We'll probably be talking for the next few months, get some more trailers. So yeah, let us know. Let us know your three. Let us know who you'd be most excited
Mhm.
for. Show some Ghost Rider love, so should Nico love and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I was talking about different genres and people approaching, like Marvel approaching people. And man, I don't think this ever happened, but I would love if Hideo Kojima got approached for a Marvel game. But it sounds like he might be a little busy because Norman Reedus was doing an interview and he said these two things and they kind of like they filled in the blanks as far as didn't say it, but he was like, oh yeah, like me and Kojima are talking about, another Death Stranding. And then in like the quotations where it's like he didn't say this, but it seems like maybe he said this to them off the record or just like in mid conversations, or they inferred this that they are currently negotiating for a Death Stranding part two. Do you like, because I feel like this game now, what it was came out 2019. I feel like when we finished it, Hideo had said like, yeah, I'm kind of not done in the world, but just kind of made it sound like okay, it'd be a one-off. And I feel like you and me both thought, there's of course Kojima's a smart guy. There's probably more to do in the world, but thought, it's probably it. Like he'll probably go on and do something else. But now we got the directors coming out in what 3 weeks, and now
Mhm.
maybe he just misspoke. But like you and me talked about, I just feel like he wouldn't be talking about the director's cut because he wouldn't be negotiating anything. That would be all wrapped up and done to go. So I really don't
Mhm.
think it's that. So I honestly am very caught off guard if this game happens. I just wonder if it's Norman Reedus just maybe they're talking about a different game, so he's just putting out some fake feelers because we know Kojima, heck, there's still people that think that Abandoned game is something to do with him, right? Like Kojima in the past has had all about to do like viral marketing, but would you be interested, or could you see a Death Stranding 2 actually happening?
Yeah, I guess, yeah, quickly on the Norman Reedus thing. Yeah, I guess I feel like there's not going to be any more DLC for this game. Like they kind of are doing their quote unquote DLC with the director's cut, which is just a PS5 enhanced version essentially. So I don't think he'd be talking about DLC. Um, it is interesting because I can't say I recall. You said that like we talked about how he, maybe made it sound like he wasn't going to do any more with it. And I can't recall him saying that, but I definitely remember us having that conversation of just like, it seems like a very definitive story or like a world that you kind of just do as a one-off thing. And it's not like it was a short 10-hour game that had so much potential. It's like it was fucking massive. Like there's a lot in there. So yeah, I'm super curious about this because Death Stranding, yeah, one of my favorite games of the last few years. And I loved it even for all of its faults. I still love that game so much, and it's so incredibly unique. I'm really curious what a sequel would mean. I'm really curious if it would just be a new area, but then I'm really curious like what the story would be. Like, do you have a new character? Well, I mean, that probably isn't going to be the case if you've already established that, or if like we're thinking that Norman Reedus is going to be a big part of it. Like, I feel like you continue with that character, but I feel like he's had a pretty definitive story.
Well, that's the thing.
It's
It's not
weird,
like
man.
Assassin's Creed where it's like you have a main character and stuff happens around him and like he evolves a little, but really the world is the world. I think almost everything in that story is so specifically about Sam and his journey and where he is at the end. And to me, it just feels like it does feel like, because it's so long, a closed book. It feels like there's not much here to tell anymore in a good way, you know? And it just feels like it's one of those, it would be a sequel that once you get in the story and they introduce, oh, this is the element how the story kicks off. Would it feel okay? This feels tacked on, or would it just be more Sam adventuring the world? Which I feel like that's kind of what we're getting with this director's cut, as far as okay, there's some missions, there's like some like sea monsters. I'm fine to explore this world more if Sam is the vision, but I feel like because he had such a huge like story and journey, it would feel weird if it was just like, yeah, more of Death Stranding world, but Sam's in it, but there's not much of a story. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
you do something with BB. Maybe there's like, I trust Kojima that like if he announced this, I wouldn't be like, oh man, this is a trouble. It's just one of those where it felt like, okay, we're done here. And especially because he was talking about doing a horror game. I don't know if this would be his next game if he actually did it or not, but I would be very intrigued to see what it would actually encompass if they said, yeah, number 2 is coming in, 5 years from now. Get ready.
Yeah. Yeah, I one of my biggest questions would just straight up be the setting because the game takes place like you start on the east coast of the United States and then you go across the whole thing and it's like obviously like very scaled down.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
think you go to like the west coast, don't you? Like you go the whole way. And a big part of the story and the commentary was on like US politics and the state of the US. And so I wonder where he goes from there because if you could do more in the US because obviously the map is not the size of the actual US, but I feel like that would maybe seem a bit strange of a choice. But then I don't know where else he goes or how that fits into Sam Porter Bridges
Yeah.
and his story. So yeah, that part has me questioning as well. But obviously, like I think to me the thing that stands out the most is just Death Stranding has some of the most innovative gameplay I've ever seen, just in terms of traversal mechanics, in terms of just like delivering and carrying items as like gamifying that into like a whole thing, and then also having interesting cell sequences and all this other stuff. Like there's so much more you could do with that, and obviously that's shown by just like this director's cut, which has all this wacky shit in it. Like I feel like he could do so much more with these general concepts or with this obviously gameplay wise, but I'm really curious story and world wise, like where do they go with it mostly.
Yeah, and that's where, like I said, I don't want to spoil too much of the game, but I feel like who he's with at the end of the game, maybe you could do something there in like a time jump, like maybe just even growing up in this world. Like I know you don't play them, but maybe you could almost do a Last of Us in a sense, sort of, Norm Reedus taking care of this companion and kind of traversing. Plus, even jumping 10 years in the future could be cool, right? Because you could introduce a whole lot of things. Maybe things have
Yeah.
evolved. We don't know what's going on with these underwater creatures, and who knows? Maybe he goes to a different country, and maybe that's he does politics on a different country. So if it happens, I still don't know if it would be his next game. I actually would be surprised. I feel like he may. Like if they're if that's legitimately their negotiations, then yeah, it probably would be his next game. I just feel like he would make something else and then return to that, maybe, but
yeah, I at the very least, if it is happening and well, actually, I guess so. Here's a question: do you think it would be like a PlayStation associated thing again? Because obviously they published it on PlayStation first, and then it came to Steam later. It's not on Xbox yet. Who knows if it ever will? Probably not. I guess maybe who knows? But his studio is not under the PlayStation umbrella. Do you think he stays with them? Do you think they would want to fund and publish a sequel?
I bet with them having a hand in the first one, there's probably some in the contract of if there's a sequel, we get at least first option. We get to, like same way in Hollywood where someone, if they, hey, I've written a movie, I'm going to go direct it. And Netflix goes, okay, well, we get to look at it first. If you have a first look deal, we're not interested, you go somewhere else. So I bet that's what it would be where, okay, you can make it, but if we want to produce it, we have to, because we helped you with the first one. That's what I think. I think that'd be smart too, because you could sign that contract and you don't have to go through with it. It's just, hey, we get first dibs on it. Especially the first one. It sold well, but it wasn't like a gangbusters, like one of the all-time selling games, but it has its niche. It had more just like conversation around it. So I think Sony would be smart to make that again. And plus, if they critically, there's some people that really didn't like it because walking simulator, all that sort of stuff. But I feel like it's critically loved enough that it would be worth investing time in again. So
yeah, I don't know how much else I have to say on it. I think we'll just kind of wait and see.
Yeah.
Kojima's such an interesting guy. He's always doing it. It's like impossible to predict what he's gonna do next. So I still need to go back and play any Metal Gear game. So I have a lot of catching up to do. I guess my last point is that I hope, if this is happening and it is a PlayStation thing, I hope it is. I hope they take the time with it, and I hope it's a full experience. I don't really want like a 1.5 version. Like I don't really want a Miles Morales equivalent where it's like a shorter experience in that same world built off the same engine just to get a sequel out there. I hope it's something that is a full package like the first game was.
Yeah, no, I agree. You can't, and I wouldn't expect him to either. I feel like if he's making one, he's gonna go balls to the wall. So,
but he is a wild guy, so who knows?
So this trailer I put in, did you watch this Card Counter trailer or the Card Counter trailer?
Yes, I did.
So the reason this is in here is because if you go to Patreon at any tier for a newscast, you can send in questions. Patreon Clay sent that in. We didn't get to it last time, so we were going to do it this newscast. And this is a movie that is coming out September 10th, so it's coming out a week. It's theaters only, so that disappointed me because I'll just be a little busy. And it looks like it's a smaller movie, so I don't know if Cologne will get. I know it's bigger stars, but just like the scope of it. It's funny, Clay, because I feel like you sent this to us because like we like Oscar Isaac, we like Willem Dafoe. So there's people in there that like speak to GeekVerse. I feel this could be a case of the movie could be good, but this trailer was not cut well, in my opinion. I didn't know if it was trying to be serious or trying to be comedic or trying to be wacky, because it had it all. And maybe the movie can strike all those chords, but it looked strange. But it was a movie that I've seen. The only thing I've seen this movie before is the poster of Oscar Isaac sitting on a gun with one of those chairs that's like has the tape around it. And right then I'm like, okay, I'm kind of in. I like Oscar Isaac. And Willem Dafoe, I did not know was in this. And Tiffany Haddish is also very interesting because she's like, all she's known is for comedy. She was a stand-up comedian, then she did like a bunch of comedy movies. So the fact she's doing something a bit more serious could work, but there's just some stuff in there when she's just like, oh yeah, I like my thoroughbreds, and they almost like had like a look at the screen sort of moment. I was like, what is going on here? So I don't think this is a movie I would go see in the theaters, but this is something that maybe when Netflix comes around or something that's online, I would watch, because the idea of just Willem Dafoe and Oscar Isaac together, though, is tempting. I knew Oscar was in this. I didn't know Willem Dafoe was in this. So it's tempting to see that. And the plotline, okay, former like soldier, gone through some stuff. He's playing poker now. Could be good. We reviewed Casino Royale like I guess like a year ago and whatnot. And if you can do some cinematic poker scenes, that'll work. But so it's on my, checkout list, but not a day one watch. Where were you on this trailer?
Yeah, well, I will say that the third highest upvoted comment made me laugh. It's I'm something of a card counter myself. So I really appreciate that one from Gladwin Gracia.
There you go, Gladwin.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's funny that once again we're on like the same wavelength where I was gonna ask like, why did this pique your interest, and why did you want me
Yes.
to watch this trailer?
Yes.
Because to me, it just seemed very generic. Like I like poker, and I like poker in movies. I think it can be suspenseful, and I like Oscar Isaac, and I like Willem Dafoe. And Oscar Isaac seemed like is a cool movie from his perspective, but I feel like Willem Dafoe isn't really used in an interesting way in this trailer, and like just a lot of very cookie cutter dialogue. And I don't know,
Yeah.
it just seemed like a movie that I've seen 100 times before, so it didn't really stand out to me. But I mean, it still seems like fun movie that I'd watch on Netflix. But I don't know if this is something that I would go out to the theater and watch with my mask on. I don't know if it's gonna grab
Yeah.
me in that way.
Yeah, especially when going to the theater is such an ordeal nowadays. It's like
Yeah,
a second. And
exactly.
I imagine Clay, I'm excited whenever we do it after 9. He's moved to LA and he's starting to work in like
Oh,
movie sets and stuff like that. Yeah,
way to
he's
go,
like
Clay! That's awesome.
he's trying to make the full Brad Pitt dream going on, everything like that. But I guarantee you and Clay in the Discord, tag me and Dylan, like let us know why you did this. But Paul Schrader, he's written a lot over the years. Obviously, you saw like
Right. I was gonna
Martin
ask who is
Scorsese.
that guy, because I should probably know who he is, but I can't remember.
He's written and directed a lot of movies. I don't think anything big you would know, but as you saw the Martin Scorsese Presents, his
I saw
biggest
that.
claim to
Yeah.
fame was he wrote Taxi Driver, which was like the thing that got Martin
Okay.
Scorsese like on the map. So he is known to write some movies that have been considered great. So like I said, maybe it's just this trailer just isn't good. Like I said, it has pieces of a good movie, but yeah, I don't know. So yeah, Clay, let us know why you put that on. I will say, like I said, September 10th. Like I said, if this was a
Yeah.
Netflix movie, I would put this on the queue and be like, you know what, I'm gonna check this out when everyone drops. Because if it sucks half an hour in, I could bow out, be nothing. But
Mhm.
the theater, oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
tough.
Clay is very dialed into the movies, and
Yes.
he watches a lot, and he's always like, he always knows what's going on, not just in like the pop culture movies, but also like, I don't know, the cool indie movies that are coming out and stuff. So, and obviously, as you said, like he's kind of getting into the industry in a way too. So he knows this stuff. And so honestly, just him being interested or saying this is worth checking out makes me more interested just naturally. So yeah, if this pops up on Netflix or Plex, I could see myself watching it.
Maybe he worked on. He's just trying to get some money out of us. He's just
It's
like, oh
true.
yeah, check it out. I got a producer
Maybe he's
credit.
Paul Schaefer's son or something like that. Who knows?
And then finally, this was just almost more than like a public service announcement for our listeners, and we'll probably cover it at some point when we talk about the games. But DC Fandom, they announced they've known this for a while, but they're doing October 16th. They're doing last year they did like a full day thing, but really it was 8 hours. They're doing 4 hours, which thank you. That's much better for me to plan. They've already been like it's 10 a.m. It's 4 hours, so
Nice.
my heart is just all nice and good. But just some of the events they announced, like we're getting the next Batman trailer there. They're going to show the first footage of Black Adam and Flash. They're going to show behind the scenes of Shazam 2 and the new Aquaman. They're going to show a bunch of TV stuff. And then they're also showing Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad.
Nice.
I don't know what they're showing because I feel like I remember last year them being like Gotham Knights is next year and Suicide Squad is like 2023. I thought they like dated that game like really far out, Squad and everything like that. But yeah, like I said, it's more of a post service notes because like we did last year, we're gonna do a cross with the podcast network. We'll be streaming the whole day, and I'll be excited to see because that game, honestly, that is I'd have to see what's coming out next year, but that Gotham Knights game, man, that has me very excited because I'm a Batman guy and I love the
Yeah.
idea of playing a Batman game where Batman. I think it's gonna be just like Avengers. Sure, he's dead or gone, like
Right.
same as Cap. Like he'll pop up at the end, but I'm very excited about that, and I'm also just very excited for that and Squad to see just how they compare to what we got with Avengers, right? Like, are these games for service? Are they just a full on story? I don't know, but in October they're gonna be dishing them out. So that's why I think you won't see them at how we didn't see them at E3 or opening live. And I don't think you'll see them at Games Awards either because they're making this a yearly thing, this fandom thing. It's digital, makes sense. But I think that's where they're going to keep most of the stuff. And actually, I'm going to look and see what the dates of these games are right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they have a date. Because
No,
so Gotham Knights originally was supposed to come out this year, and so that's nice because we've actually seen a lot of gameplay for it, or at least some gameplay. And we have a pretty good idea what it is. Suicide Squad, we haven't. We only have that one trailer. Is that
just
correct?
cinematic too, I'm pretty sure. So no
Yeah.
gameplay. Yeah.
So that's I'm really hopeful that we see some gameplay there. I'd be down for that. And yeah, Gotham Knights looks really sweet as well. So I'm sure that. Do you think that'll come with a release date? I feel like it probably will, right?
So they are both. I guess that makes sense.
Or
I
at
was
least a
thinking
quarter when to expect it.
I was thinking of like 2 years from now, but I guess now we've already gone 2 years because both games are listed for next year. I
Yeah.
feel like because if we were supposed to get Gotham Knights this year in fall, maybe that could be a Q, like you're saying, like a quarter, like a Q1 2022 if it's ready to go. But I also think like you can't, like I feel like you either have to go one in Q1 and one in Q4, or one gets delayed. Like I don't see them putting out both those games within 6 months of each other. That would seem kind of foolish, you know. Like I feel like
Yeah. And
I could
I feel like the first quarter of next year is already kind of stacked.
pack.
So I wonder if they push Gotham Knights a little bit further back just to get past like the buzz of. Well, I don't really know how much buzz Midnight Suns is going to have from like the greater
Yeah,
audience. Obviously, it's a Marvel game, but even Avengers didn't take the world by storm. But like I mean, Elden Ring and Pokemon and Horizon, and then who knows about Breath of the Wild too. But like, there's a lot going on
yeah.
in that first couple months.
Well, yeah, and then even at the end of the year, though, too, you could have something like God of War coming out, like the sequel. We know
Yeah,
that's
Starfield's
coming.
coming out in November.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that so it's like it's gonna be tough. But then the thing is, I don't know what there is as far as synergy is nowadays. Like people think that's the why Spider-Man for Avengers is coming out in December because the movie's coming in December. But if it is ready Q1, and if the world stays the same, the Batman is coming out in March. And if you could get
Mm.
that around that sort of time, like they have nothing
Doesn't
to
that
do
game
with.
not have Batman in it though? Isn't that
Well,
kind of awkward?
I
I know what you're saying, but
I
that's
know,
still
yeah.
like people are like, oh man, I'm so hyped on Batman right now, and they go buy this new game, and they're like, where the fuck is Batman?
Well, well, like SBOB says, no one's ever really gone. And that's what I mean. Like, yeah, 100% as far as Batman's not in it, but that vibe of
Yeah,
Gotham, the world.
and then
So,
Suicide Squad came out already, right?
yeah, it came out
Okay,
already.
okay,
Yeah. James Gunn, the
I'm so out
Suicide
of it.
Squad.
Yeah,
Yeah. And it's interesting because both games you have four main characters, like they're very
yeah.
similar, but that game I think has a lot more chutzpah because you'll be able to show off this is where you fight Green Lantern, this is where you fight Wonder Woman. Because remember, the whole title of that game is Suicide Squad: kill the
Yeah,
Justice
very
League.
boldly.
Yeah.
Here is the main plot. Yeah, like they're out there.
And I would have, because I remember when this game was rumored, I said there's no chance that they're making a game called Kill the Justice League. And I live in a day and age where the word suicide and Kill the Justice League are all in one title for a game. So
Quite edgy. Or the
yeah,
guy who's has a shark for a shark head, and he's like the
oh
main protagonist.
yeah, after
What
the
a
movie,
time!
I want to love them. But yeah, no, you're right about Q1, but it's just like it. But then if you were to release Gotham Knights in summer and then Suicide Squad in fall, is that still too close together?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like this March thing. I know I just joked on your
Yeah.
Batman thing, but I feel like that actually probably is a good time because, well, I don't know. Maybe do you want Marvel and do you want your DC game right next to a Marvel
Oh,
game? I don't know if you
right.
want to. I mean, I feel like Midnight Suns is. I mean, it's got Iron Man Cap in it, so like it is a very Marvel centric thing. I don't know. I feel like they
Well, and
maybe want a
plus,
little bit of distance, but I
this
mean, they
is
also like they could go early March, like they could go before them and try and jump the gun.
this is funny though because I forgot the Batman comes out in March, but Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness also
Oh
comes out
my
in
god,
March.
that is a month for comic. That's gonna be a geek versus biggest month of all
Oh
time.
yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, but even then, if the Batman plays and it's big, you could drop Gotham Knights in April and still have the hype. The same way, I'm pretty sure. If maybe I have the dates wrong. I thought Arkham Asylum. Let me just check when it dropped. 2009. No, I'm wrong. For some reason, I've always thought it dropped in 2008, but it didn't. But even then, I just feel like even the hype off the Dark Knight, like almost
Mhm.
a year later, still had that like I'm dying for a Batman game. So same thing if like the Batman is a big hit and the game doesn't come out till May. At the end of the day, it's gonna go by if the game's good or not, right? It's not gonna
Yeah.
matter how well the Batman does. It's just sometimes studios they like that synergy of like, oh, and pick up your copy of Gotham Knights right now and go
Mhm.
see Gotham and blah blah blah. So
And I
yeah,
know
we'll see.
there's kind of like an association with DC and like Warner Bros. To an extent. Like,
Yeah,
do you think this DC fandom will have anything for the Harry Potter game, or do we have to wait? I could see that being that seems like a very Game Awards thing.
I think
Uh,
so. Yeah, I think they'll
Awkward.
keep it just strictly DC, or if they ever do like a Potter event. But I actually think Game Awards is where that go. And even then, when we talk about stuff like that, was another game that supposedly was supposed to come out, right? So if
Yeah,
these games were supposed to come out, were we thinking that Harry Potter and Gotham Knights were both going to come out fall this year? Is that what they were kind of insinuating?
I know that's kind of crazy. Hey, I mean,
because that's
It's
more
weird. Like
Q1
there's cases where
games.
there's like Horizon Dawn, and they're like, we want it out this year, but we don't know, and that's like, okay, that makes sense. It's February, but for games like this that just said a blanket statement like year, and we never really got a strict day, it's really hard to predict like what time of year they're gonna come out. And
Look at
yeah,
S-Bubs. You need to work for Warner Brothers. Raw Pass and scanning Gotham Knights when you scan your DC or your Batman ticket. 100%. There
boom.
you go. That's what you can do. That synergy, you know. But
That's how
even
you do it.
Midnight Suns, like you're gonna have Moon Knight coming out next year. There's
Hmm.
rumors that Ghost Rider is in Doctor Strange. Legitimately, there's rumors. So you're gonna
Nice.
have lots of
With Nick
synergy going
Cage
on.
or just nondescript Ghost Rider?
Well, as right now, because you're so out of it. So the word is, did you actually watch the new Spider-Man trailer?
I haven't watched it. You
So
want me
they
to watch it? I'll watch it right now if you want me to.
Let's do it. I want to see your reaction. I
Okay,
want to see your
let's do
reaction
it.
because I'm not gonna say the rumor of it. I'm
I
gonna
saw that there's some Toby verse characters in there, but I haven't
okay.
actually watched it. What's the movie called? Spider-Man
Spider-Man No Way Home.
No Way Home. It's these. I don't like these titles for these new Spider-Man.
Honestly, if you've seen the characters, I don't know if you need to watch it because they're in it for just that
Okay,
second. Yeah, yeah. But no, what I was gonna say is if you hadn't seen it, yeah, they show Doc Ock, they show a pumpkin bomb, they show
nice.
Electro's light. But what they're saying, the rumors
Oh,
right
I didn't
now
know
is
about
that
Electro. That's cool.
well, you don't see him, you just see electricity, and people go, "Oh, that
But
must
he
be
has a
Electro."
very distinct electricity in
He
Amazing
does.
Spider-Man. But
And
that's
then there's
interesting because like is there rumors that Andrew Garfield's in this movie, or is it just Toby?
There's more than rumor. No, Andrew Garfield's there. Like Brent and Chris, if you're listening to this, turn away because they want to avoid all this stuff. So last week, when the trailer, I gotta tell you this story. So the trailer was going to play for CinemaCon, but the rumor was it was just going to play for this presentation and wouldn't go to the public. What happened was the trailer leaked, but how it leaked was someone had a trailer on their phone and they filmed the trailer on their phone. Like they filmed a phone up playing the trailer, and that's what they put out. And it was I can swear, I can admit it, I watched the dog shit trailer because I had to. It was awful. It was terrible quality. But then they released it after. But in the middle of that day, supposed set photos were leaking of William Dafoe, these actors, and there was a set photo that not confirmed, but Sony had DMCA's all taking these photos down of Toby and
Okay,
Andrew on set. It was Toby and Andrew on set
with
on a
Andrew.
green screen. Yeah,
Nice,
Andrew's apparently back. Yeah, so he's
crazy.
a part of the whole thing. And there's this one shot in the trailer. I didn't believe it, but then people showed it down. It looks like Lizard from Amazing Spider-Man's in this. It's like freeze frame, and you can see like a
Whoa.
claw come out,
Okay,
and he's like in the shadows and stuff like that. Yeah,
they're going
suppose
all out, dude. This is
oh
gonna
yeah,
be
yeah.
awesome.
So yeah, but the rumor is right now that that's introducing the Sony Marvel characters, and Doctor Verse Multiverse of Madness is introducing the Fox Marvel character. So right
Hmm.
now, apparently we don't know who the actor is or if it's an old one, but the other big rumor right now, and it's coming from good sources, that Professor X is going to be Multiverse of Madness,
Okay.
and then he's apparently supposed to have like a big fight with Wanda. So
Whoa.
we don't know if that's Stewart or McAvoy or a new actor. There was another rumor that we talked last week that apparently they did meet with Hugh Jackman. And this track, because last year a casting grid came out and Hugh Jackman's name was on it. So everyone was getting really excited. But
Wow, that's
apparently here,
surprising. Yeah.
well, apparently he turned it down though, because the pitch was he was going to fight Wanda, but he was going to get decimated by Wanda. And I bet you he was like, nah, I'm not coming out of retirement for this. Like, and we don't know how factual that is, but that's what the scooper
Yeah.
said, that they were gonna fight and she was just gonna fuck him up. And I was like, yeah, I wouldn't come back for that. That seems like that seems weird. But
So,
yeah.
I mean, this Spider-Man stuff, like, this is just a one-off, right? Like, they're just gonna be in this one movie. It'll be really fun, and then they'll go back to never being in a
mm,
Spider-Man thing, right?
I don't think so. I think money talks. I think that my theory, what I've been pitching
But
for months
is
is
that? I guess I mean people would always be hyped for that, but
yeah.
I feel like people are mostly there just to see it at all, like just to see it once. Like I don't know if how much value you get off after doing it again.
So there's
I guess I'm not giving Toby enough credit for how iconic he is, but
been three theories going around. This one's not mine. This is Brent. He hosts Marvel Alliance. He replaced me. His theory is at the end of this movie that Tom Holland's going to be stuck in like a different universe and Toby's going to be stuck in ours. Because remember when they had that divorce and everything like that and they re-signed a contract?
yeah,
They said, we're going to make one more Spider-Man movie together and then Spider-Man's going to appear in an MCU movie. They have not announced what movie that is. So Brent's theory is, what if it is in Multiverse of Madness Toby and he's trying to get back home? They haven't said what Spider-Man. They just said a Spider-Man will have an MCU crossover. So
right.
that's a theory.
So What is
And
it? Are the rights that Tom Holland can only do one more MCU movie, or is it that the Spider-Man character can
we
only
don't
do one
know.
more?
And that's where that
Okay.
theory comes into, like, maybe it's that. And then my theory is, well, and some people have this theory that the Spider-Man in the Venom Morbius universe is going to be Andrew Garfield. They're going to use him. I don't buy that one. I just don't think that's going to happen. But then my theory is what I want
That's
them
like
to
the worst timeline. That's like we'll just put like the bottom tier Marvel stuff, Spider-Man stuff.
My theory and what I'm proposing is, let's say this hits and it's a big deal and they want to do this again. They could either do
Yeah.
another Spider-Verse movie where they bring in like even more crazy stuff and more like kind of like Spider-Verse did. What I think they should do is Tom Holland stays in the MCU. He's doing his stuff. They send Toby back to his universe. They do a Spider-Man 4 with Toby, but they only use that to set up Miles Morales. He dies in that movie. And in that universe is where we get. So here's my pitch is MCU gets Tom Holland Spider-Man and Sony gets their own Spider-Man with Miles Morales, and you kill Toby
Right.
for one last ride, and that's how. Because if you were
what's the gain? What's the gain though for Sony? Like, is it just that Disney gives them so much money to keep Tom Holland?
I think it's
Wouldn't
a,
they
like,
want to keep like
I
isn't
think
the
it's the
point of these rights that
MCU
they can kind of do
attention.
their own Spider-Man thing and take the popularity and keep that going?
They might. This may be it because some people have said like maybe they just the reason this multiverse stuff happening so they can cut Tom off and he's gone, like he gets
Yeah.
booted off. But I think it's just that association of being in the MCU, being in an Avengers movie, like you're kind of with the cool kids, right? But
Yeah.
it's just like to me with Miles, it's like if you were to bring him with Tom, like Tom's too young to be like the mentor Spider-Man. So that's why Toby, he'd be perfect if he's the mentor that like passes it off to a young
Yeah.
Miles, you know. So
I mean, I don't know anything about Andrew Garfield. Like, I've never listened to an interview or anything with him, but I feel like he wouldn't want, like, he would come back for the one movie because they probably give him a lot of
yeah,
money. Because, like, if he's the only character missing, like, they have Electro and, like, all these other characters, and they're like, they just don't have the guy who actually played Spider-Man. That's a big problem. But I don't know if I see him coming back to be, like, third chair Spider-Man in this, like, other, like, obviously money talks, as you said. But
yeah.
I don't know if I see him coming back, like as a semi-permanent thing to appear in movies again frequently.
If I had a gun to my head, I would agree with you that this is probably just a big one-off. That's what I do think, in my opinion. It's just one,
Because it's probably
hurrah.
a very, very expensive movie. And yes, it'll
Yes.
make a lot of money, but still, like, this is not going to be a cheap movie with all these people
Yeah,
coming back.
but also it's not going to make as much money as it would have before with COVID and everything like that. So you got to think of that even more too. It's like,
That's true.
and you would appreciate this. So months ago, Andrew Garfield was asked about these rumors, and Asbuzz points this out that the example Andrew Garfield said is like, it's like you're playing a game of werewolf and everyone's pointing at you saying you're the werewolf, and he's like, but I'm not the werewolf. So that was his defense of saying, and he admitted that he has a fake Twitter account that he uses to look at this stuff, but that was his example of, he says he's not the werewolf, he's not, but yeah,
Okay.
it's happening, and the rumors are still that Charlie Cox is also in this movie too as Daredevil. So
oh my god, this just keeps getting better.
There's
Well, you told me that before, I think, but yeah,
yeah.
it's still.
So
Yeah,
here's when if you ever watch the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, I don't think it's him, but there's this guy in a white dress suit. He has glasses on and like his sleeves are rolled up. Everyone thinks it's Matt Murdock. I don't think it is, because
that's a Matt Murdock kind of thing to do.
it is, but like his body type just doesn't match. But the other thing is, so in an interview today, he was asked, he's promoting something else. That guy does not have a poker face. He did a really bad job being like, oh, like people are excited. I don't want to, he's like, but no, I'm just excited to see what happens. Like, and he never even actually said no. He never once said he's not in the movie. He's just like, I don't want to rain on anyone's parade. So he's in the movie. And I'm not even sure if you heard of this too. There's rumors that the Hawkeye show is coming out in November. There's rumors that Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin's going to be in it.
Nice.
So, yeah,
that's cool.
They're getting nuts right now. Yeah. Yeah.
Man, I'm excited. This is a great time. I mean,
and when you catch up, but you're just gonna be in binge mode. You're just like, oh, I can watch these 6 episodes.
I know that's
together,
the thing. When I'm back into it and I wanted to get dialed back in, I have 2 TV shows. I'm gonna have a couple movies.
Yeah.
What? Because I think you said that Shang-Chi's coming, or is that
tomorrow?
Yeah. What's the hype level for that movie from like you and just like in general from people?
I was like lower on it, but the trailers have been really good. They've been really good. And most people, and I think it is because like it's diversity as well, but people have compared it to, it feels very similar to Black Panther with like big scale.
Have they shown that they're bringing back any other like big MCU characters, or is it just like, oh, this is cool new character in a new world and that's exciting?
So I forgot, like, this is what I love that you're catching up. So me and Ted had a good laugh because so there is a moment where Shang-Chi, he's going to be in a tournament fighting people. They showed
Oh.
two other
Mortal
MCU
Kombat crossover?
kind of. They showed two other characters in this, and this is just in the trailer, so I'm not spoiling anything. They showed that Wong from Doctor Strange is in this tournament fighting people, and the person they showed in the trailer who he's fighting is Abomination from Incredible Hulk.
Oh my god.
And
Abomination.
there's a
Is it Tim? Is it? Well, I guess Tim Roth. I mean, it's not really because
he's
he's
just the
in
CGI
monster
guy.
form. Yeah.
But there's literally a moment where he has the Doctor Shield shield up, or the Doctor Strange shield up, and Abomination comes down with a fist and breaks it, and it's him. They all confirmed it, and
Nice.
also though, but like Tim Roth is coming back for She-Hulk, like the actual Tim Roth is coming. Yeah, so he's gonna be
as that character. That's cool.
Yeah, as the monster and as Blonsky. So he's coming back because there's also here's another rumor.
Do you think is there a Hulk movie that's coming? Are they like setting up for that?
They can't do that because they don't have the distribution rights. They have to like share them with Universal, so they can do TV shows.
But eventually, like that'll happen. Or
I think the contract's like a long time away. Like I think it's like a good like 15 to 20 years still. So, but they can do TV. Right. They can do Disney Plus shows, and there's rumors right now with She-Hulk that they're bringing in his son, the Hulk son. So
which is a new character, right?
Yeah. So he had him on Sakaar, like when in the comics when he was on that planet.
He did, yeah.
Yeah. So that's the rumor that he's going to be in She-Hulk as well. Okay. So the She-Hulk is apparently just going to be like a Hulk family show. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is that this year? What's this year for the TV shows?
This year is just Hawkeye. Miss Marvel was supposed to come out, but it sounds like it might be delayed because I don't know if it was like COVID stuff. But yeah, we have What If and then Hawkeye. We have Shang-Chi tomorrow, maybe Eternals, but I think like it's people say they're rumors, but everyone knows this. It really depends how Shang-Chi does this weekend because this is the first like they did Black Widow with the day and date as far as the premiere access and the theater. This one you don't have that. It's just theaters only. So I think if it does poor, every single Marvel movie is going to get delayed again. Like today, they delayed Mission Impossible. They delayed Top Gun. They delayed Ghostbusters only by a couple weeks still this year, but they already delayed. Like Venom was supposed to come out in 2 weeks. They would delay that to October. I think we're in store for another big, like everything's going to get pushed to next year because I just don't, maybe we'll see. I just don't know if people are comfortable with completely going out depending where they live and stuff. And some people can't. And
yeah, it seems crazy that it's September now and they still haven't narrowed down if Eternals is coming out this year. But
they say
the nature
November
of things right now, I suppose.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So well, that was fun. It was good catching up on all that stuff, you know. So
oh my god, there's so much juicy stuff. I'm so far behind that now I don't have to wait for these things. I can just talk to someone and find out what I've missed.
Yeah, exactly. And Venom 2 looks like trash. There you go. There's a trailer out for that somewhere, and you don't got to worry about that. Yeah. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed that newscast. If you have anything to say, Facebook, Twitter, our Discord, YouTube, hit us up on any topic we talked about today. Thank you very much for tuning in. You want to hear from us next? Not be boring.
See ya.